have to ask, well, what was up with this raid? And I do think the fact that Trump controlled the narrative of what happened. He was the one releasing statements to the public. He was the one releasing fake statements to the public. Like, I think you may remember the day he claimed the FBI took all his passports, which got people very excited. They began to think he was going to go on the run. And he had basically made that up, I think, to kind of test who is gullible, who's going to report things quickly without fact checking. Turned out most journalists were, and so forth. So yeah, the advantage for him is that he is able to rile up a violent base, and they need a violent base right now because their intent, as usual, is not to win elections by winning over hearts and minds, but steal elections through a combination of processes, through new voter suppression laws, intimidation of poll workers, new laws that allow states to literally throw out the vote after the vote, but also, if need be, if they can't get what they want through the courts or through these other means, they will resort to small scale, localized January 6th style attacks. And they need a very angry base to do that. They don't need everybody. They just need enough people in each location. And this gives Trump the veneer of persecution. And the fact that he hasn't actually been indicted gives that veneer of persecution more perceived legitimacy than it would be otherwise. Because, when they make the point, like, well, if this was serious, like, obviously they would indict him. If this was a true national security emergency, obviously they would get those, documents by any means necessary, and they wouldn't have waited all this time. It's hard to argue with that. I mean, my argument is that the DOJ is just as corrupt as Trump, and that they're working in tandem, and that, arrangements are made, basically that everybody here is bad. There are no heroes. There are no saviors. But that's a different argument than what the pro-Trump camp is making, which is basically that this is a baseless search, and that Trump is being, libeled and smeared.
This whole conflict is going to definitely get worse as Russia is losing because they're going to become increasingly desperate. It's no accident, or it's no just sheer coincidence that a lot of the useful idiots in the West are suddenly activated and sucking up all the oxygen in the room, like Elon Musk coming out with his Kremlin talking points right when Russia's losing. Right? Tucker Carlson gnawing at that bone as well. The useful idiots in the West are activated. The autocratic allies like Iran are activated. Russia is trying to pull out the stops to turn things around in Ukraine, but they simply cannot, because they cannot overcome all of their inherent structural failures as a military due to endemic corruption. Like I always say, they're punching themselves in the face repeatedly with this war, and they don't know how to stop doing that because all of Russian society currently under this kleptocrat is a failing state. It's failing across the board, and it keeps further weakening itself. Russia has a demographic crisis. The generation of minds, innovators, business leaders, like pillars of society that they desperately need are fleeing by the hundreds of thousands abroad and taking their talents with them, right? So that's happening on top of an already existing demographic crisis where the Russian population's aging out. So that's just one example.